Welcome in to the Sharp App Countdown to Kickoff show here for Week 18 of the NFL season. I'm your host, Sal Walsh. You could find me on Twitter at 14a.walsh. You could also find the Sharp App on Twitter at the Sharp App. Make sure you go follow them there. And, of course, make sure you're downloading the app over there to track all your picks and see all the great content that we have over there at the Sharp App. So here we are, as I mentioned, Week 18 of the NFL season. We've even got the national championship coming up tomorrow with college football. That's going to be between Alabama and Georgia. I got Maddie Hladik, writer and editor over at the Spun, who specializes, pretty much in college football and pretty much everything else out there in the college sports scene. So you definitely want to check him out at 12:15. But to get started today, let's take a look around the NFL and sort of see what situations and different injuries that we got out there. Looking at this one here, we got to take a look at the first game and, what really matters today out there on the landscape, right? This is a day where certain teams could find themselves in the NFL playoff picture. They can find themselves right out of it too really quick. So I guess the number one thing that we should be looking at is definitely the Tennessee Titans there in the NFC. So if they get a win here today, that means that we're going to be looking at a Tennessee Titans number one seed, right? And who the heck thought we would have saw that, especially with Derrick Henry out of the lineup. This is a team that, they're hungry now. They got that big win in LA, and then I think they faltered a couple times and, kind of got back up on their feet. But this is a good Tennessee Titans football team. Now, one of the things I've always liked to do is bet against them when they're on the road or when they're at home, right? They haven't been that great at home. They turned it around a little bit this season. But last season, I believe 3-7 against the spread in two of those wins. One was an overtime win against the Houston Texans, and then they had another tough that Tuesday game where they got to play the Buffalo Bills, and everybody was sort of doing their own thing. So this is a good opportunity for the Titans to do that. They are 10.5-point favorites today on the road against the Houston Texans. So I think they're going to take care of business. I don't think that there should be any problem there. Just want to update the social media here. Going live now. All right, so looking around the rest of the NFL, it's funny. One of my favorite games on the slate today doesn't even have anything to do with the playoff picture. We'll be going against the Cincinnati Bengals, of course, but I'll get to that one. I want to make sure that I get to some of these other games here first. Let's go to now. I saw in the Discord channel we had a little bit of chatter there. Freezing rain out there in Baltimore, so that's certainly going to put a damper on some things. I would definitely look for that to be a lower scoring game. I mean, freezing rain exactly isn't the greatest, and we got two offenses. Well, the Steelers anyway, who kind of struggle to move the football, but I don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see a lot of offense there. Already looking at the total, that's a 41. 98% of the money already going towards the under in that one, while you got just over 50% there on the over. But yeah, I can't imagine too many points being scored in Baltimore today with all the freeze and rain there. Let's see, in terms of games that matter, yes, the Indianapolis Colts, they will be facing a very shorthanded Jacksonville Jaguars team today. 14-point favorites there, and Trevor Lawrence not going to have too many of his weapons in this game. Just looking at the list of guys that are out: Agnew, Tavon Austin, who everybody loves and adores, DJ Chark going to be out there. So, we're going to have to see what Trevor Lawrence and the boys can muster up. I don't think it's going to be anything too much against the motivated Indy squad. I was looking at some of the coaches' picks earlier today, and I don't believe that anybody had anything. No, here we go. Sensational. Jacksonville plus 14.5 there. So, he sees something there that the public doesn't. I mean, of course, how could you not go for, at least a Colts win in this one, right? If we get the cover there and 14.5 is a good number. I actually like the Falcons last week at the Buffalo Bills because of that same reason there with the number at 14.5. I think if you're going to get that number at 14, 13.5, I think it might be a little bit of a different story. You'd have a little more optimism there for the Colts. So that is, that's one game that we're going to have to take a look at. As I mentioned, sensational there on the Jags at 14.5. Now, of course, for the Colts, it's a situation for them where, of course, all of these games are important. Come down the stretch here. They're currently the number 6 seed there in the AFC. So, of course, a win against these Jacksonville Jaguars today would spell great news. Now, it's not all, roses and cherries and all that shit out there, right? Like some of these teams out here, this is their playoff game, right? So as somebody like a Jacksonville, this is a playoff game for them today, basically, because their season's over one way or the other. And, that's also a situation where you can go out there and just lay it all on the line for your team. But there's a number out there, very interesting, that I saw this week. I'm not going to be able to quote the gentleman because I wrote it down without doing that. Don't hate me. But since 1990, teams that are out of playoff contention are 94, 56, and 4 against teams that don't need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. So that's hitting at a 63% rate right there with the teams trying to be the old pain in the ass spoiler there. I mean, is there nothing worse, right? Like you're trying to make the playoffs and then, you're a team like the Indianapolis Colts, somebody with a very talented core there, like a Jonathan Taylor, a Michael Pittman Jr., and then the Jags just come and shit in your Cheerios and ruin your day. That's the situation that we're seeing there. But as I mentioned, this is a playoff like game for the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, rookie quarterback, he should be fired up for this game. The one thing that I didn't love that I saw earlier in the week, and God bless the Jacksonville fans if they could do it today, but all the fans, well, not all of them, but a good majority of the fans today wanted to dress like clowns to sort of voice their disapproval there for the ownership there with Shad Khan in Jacksonville. So that's going to be very interesting to see how many clowns we get out in the stairs. I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of clowns. I don't like seeing them. I don't like being around them. They're just weird people in general. But no clowns for me. No, thank you, sir. Moving on down the list. Now, the NFL did a phenomenal job today of breaking up these two slates. I'm gonna be out there, Bayonne, New Jersey, watching some games today, but mostly for the 4:00 window, and that's where all the excitement is. I know we got the Packers and the Lions. This is an interesting one. We're seeing 60, we'll call it 60% of the bets right now on Green Bay, while 85% of the money is here on the Lions at plus 3.5. And listen, the Lions are locked into that number 2 pick no matter what, no matter if they win, whether they lose, whatever the case is. They're getting the number 2 pick in next year's draft. So, and again, this depends. Like Indy has to beat Jacksonville too, I believe, for this to make sense. But Detroit, they got Dan Campbell. They got a very fiery coach. This is the type of game that they could definitely win. Green Bay, they've already got the number 1 seed all locked up and dandy. Like, Rodgers. This is a tough one too for the Green Bay Packers because Rodgers talked about, because Green Bay is going to get the bye week for getting the number 1 seed. Do you want 2 straight weeks of rest for him? And maybe you do, right? He's got that nagging toe injury that's been a thorn in his side all season. Maybe you do get that extra rest for Aaron Rodgers in this situation. So again, I think you're seeing a lot of the sharp money there on Detroit there at the plus 3.5. And it makes sense, right? And why the hell would Green Bay only be favored by 3.5 going into Detroit? So this is definitely a fluid situation. I'm not going to put any money on it, but maybe I'll take a live look. Maybe the Packers get an early touchdown or something like that, brings the line up to plus 7 or something like that for Detroit. There, I would feel pretty damn comfortable. But sometimes you got to go the way that the money's going, and it's certainly going with Detroit in this one, as I mentioned, with 85% of the bets heading that way. Looking at the 4:00 slate, I mean, this is the meat and potatoes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Matt Hladik on here at 12:15. And then I'll get into the 4:00 slate after that because I don't want to go through a game or two and then have Matt come on, and then we got to, pick back up at the end. So hopefully you guys are excited for the national championship on Monday there between Alabama and Georgia. It's going to be a rematch between the two who played in the SEC championship game, and everybody's looking forward to this one, especially down south, even though got to play this one in Indianapolis. You got to know, right? If you're the college planning committee, you got to be like, listen, no, like we're probably gonna have Southern teams playing in the national title game. Let's have this game somewhere down south, New Orleans, Tampa, Miami. We got plenty of great venues down there, but now we're playing the game in Indianapolis. I don't think so. Like the most exciting thing to happen to that town was that they had a zip line run through it during the Super Bowl. Not where you want to be. Not where you want to be. Also, big announcement too. New York getting into the sports betting game. So congratulations to all you members of the Empire State. You no longer have to cross over the George Washington Bridge or the Holland Tunnel or the PATH train on your lunch break, whatever the case is. I know a guy, Lou Cangiano. I think a lot of you guys know him as Jaguar DFS. He told me he used to ride his bike over the George Washington Bridge from New York, go up there into northern Jersey, place his bets, and then pedal back. I mean, George Washington Bridge, that's one of the greatest structures out there in all of bridgery, right? Like that's a big bridge, Unbelievable stuff out there from Jaguar Lou. I hope that guy's doing well. Great guy. So by the way, if you are signing up for a new account here in New York, make sure you go to sharp.app. We got tons of great deals and all that kind of stuff. I wrote an article, Geek wrote an article about all the deals that you can kind of take advantage of. One of my favorite out there had to be the BetMGM one, I believe, where they give you, you deposit $1,000 and you can get your bets back within like different bets, right? So they don't give it back to you in just one lump sum of $1,000. Like they'll give you like a free $100 bet, a free $250 bet. So that's kind of cool. Sometimes they, a lot of these companies want you to, sort of blow your wad on that whole, bet right there. And it's just a risk-free bet of 1,000, right? You might not want to put it all on that one game. You might want to spread it out. So BetMGM does a great job. Caesars is another one. I mean, I use Caesars pretty much all the time. I did my NFL picks today on DraftKings because I liked where the lines were there, better prices, got to shop around. Could also check that out on the Sharp app. But Caesars, they also have a great deal too, where if you bet $100 on an NBA game, they're going to hook you up with $150 gift card to the NBA store. So you can do that through January 19th if you sign up through Caesars. And also to check out on the website, we got a great promo code there where you click through and you sign up for Caesars. I believe their promo deal, I believe it's like site credit up to $1,000, right? So you do like whatever you deposit. If you deposit 500, you're going to get 500 in site credit. If you deposit 1,000, it goes up to 1,000. So you would get $1,000 worth of free credit there on Caesars. And, like they're one of the best books out there because I think sometimes you'll place a bet and, you might not even know that a promo is going on. They still hook you up with the deal. I can't tell you how many times I go on my account and I just see like a free $100 bet. I don't even know what the hell I did. I just got the free $100 bet. So that's definitely one of the other books that I would sign up for. BetMGM too. Always got to speak good words about them. My co-host Paulie Parlays, who's not joining us today, he'll be out of town, so I'm not going to have him on at the end of the show. But make sure you can't listen to the Taken Side show now, right? Like we're 45 minutes to kickoff here, and I got Matty Hladik coming up next. So yeah, we got to talk about all the different happenings here with the college football game. See if we got any cool prop bets. Matty's always on top of this stuff with the college, so that'll be great. So Vic Fangio out today as the Broncos head coach, so it'll be interesting to see which way John Elway and the boys sort of go. They got that whole quarterback situation going on there with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. So they probably want to upgrade there as well. Gotta be on top of that. I haven't seen any new injury news so far yet for the NFL. So as soon as I do, I will release it to you guys. Being that this is a kickoff show in the hour leading up, lot of fluid motion here, but for the most part, everything has been settled, I believe. Great article out there today on outkick.com. One of the best doctors. Well, I forget his actual. I think it's I can't remember it right now, but on outkick.com, you're going to find from the Pro Football Doc, and he does this article about all the different injuries out there and, how they sort of affect the games that we're going to see today. One of the most interesting ones that I thought, and, we'll touch on it from the 1:00 window before Maddie comes on here, but Minnesota 4-point favorite with the over at 44.5. So looking at this, the line here, the Vikings are missing 3 out of their 4 defensive linemen. Eric Kendricks and 2 of their cornerbacks are already out. You got Kirk Cousins coming back. So he was saying that the move on that game would be the over at 44.5. So I went ahead and took that myself. I like it. One last final ride for Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson to get going here before the break. But without further ado, I got my man Matty Hladik on here. You can find him on Twitter. I believe it's M Hladik?
919, yeah. You find me on there.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're gonna be good. It was me, Maddie.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I was. My volume was a little low. You can find me at mhladik919 at twitter.com, and you can. I'm always there, always down. Actually, I'm sorry, that's my Instagram. It's at matthladik919. So you can find me on Twitter. I'm always down to interact with people, always looking for some new followers, new people to chat about sports with.
Good stuff. Yeah, like a dope, I actually had my headphones plugged in my phone the whole time instead of on my computer. Little bit of a wild one there. So, all right, let's talk about this national title game. We're gonna get a rematch of the SEC championship between Alabama and Georgia in this one. What do you like in this one? Because last I saw the line, Georgia favored by 2.5 here.
Well, I love the fact that we're getting a rematch because I do think, even though people may be tired of the SEC, I think these are the 2 best teams in the country. But I don't love if we get a replay of that SEC title game because that game was not very fun to watch. Bama pretty much dominated after a slow start. I think it's going to be closer than that game was. I think Georgia will settle down a little bit. I think Georgia will find some things that they can do differently to match up better with Bama. However, I was a little surprised that they installed Georgia as favorites. I think Bama wins, so I like the underdogs outright. I think that I can see something along the lines of 34-27, 24, something like that. But I think that Bama has just too much offense for Georgia to keep down for too long. As good as their defense is, I think they'll be able to take care of business.
So earlier, we saw, I guess, Georgia, like pretty much everybody I know. I was out at the well last weekend. Buddy Hayes telling me, you got to go with Georgia. You got to go with Georgia. And I like Georgia myself there at the beginning, right? But I guess the one factor that I don't love about Georgia is the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. Why do since Matt Stafford, it feels like, they haven't had that great quarterback. Why does a school like Georgia not always get the top dog out there as a quarterback?
It's amazing how so many programs you see seem to have everything figured out but the quarterback. We've seen Michigan have these issues. Notre Dame's had some really good teams, but the quarterback play has been a little lacking. Yeah. Georgia, it's been the last thing that Kirby Smart needs to solidify. And when you look at it, they've had some big recruits. Jacob Eason was a 5-star kid. Jake Fromm was a big recruit. But it depends how you play when you get to campus. Justin Fields was a guy they had, and they kind of screwed that up and let him go. He was probably the best guy that they had in terms of being a star, potential star in college. I like Stetson Bennett as a game manager type. He's a much better athlete than people think when you see him because he's not very physically imposing.
Right.
I think he's the guy that can do the job for you every single time you're out there, except when you play that one or two other elite teams that are on your level. We've seen Bama when they've lost in the past. They've lost to Trevor Lawrence. They've lost to Deshaun Watson. They lost to Johnny Manziel back in 2012. they've lost to guys who have had dynamic quarterbacks. They've lost teams with dynamic quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I just don't know if Stetson Bennett's good enough to do that. And even if they go to JT Daniels tomorrow, I'm not sure if he has, he might be a little rusty if they're not playing that much. It'd be a big ask to throw him in there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Then again, that's my hesitation, right? Is the quarterback play with Georgia there. But I mean, they got one of the best rosters we've ever seen out there with these studs out there. So it's basically going to be like an NFL tryout out there tomorrow. So again, looking at the betting landscape, a lot of 2.5s out there. Sugar House has a 3. Unibet out there with a 3 if you want to go on Bama. And then the money line, I mean, plus 120s, I think is the best you're going to do. DraftKings, BetMGM, PointsBet all got that there. And then Georgia on the money line at FanDuel is the best price there at minus 135. What do you think about the total here? Because we opened to 53. Seen it go down there, right? Like 51, 52. I know you talked about a little bit about Bryce Young there with Alabama, liking him in that. What any play there on the total anybody should be on?
I'm wondering if maybe it started to go down a little bit when people saw how Alabama played offensively against Cincinnati. They didn't have their best showing. Now Cincinnati does have a pretty good defense, but Alabama didn't put up a lot of points. They really struggled to get a passing game going. It was kind of just run the ball down their throats. So I think people were looking at that. The Sharps might be looking at it and saying, hey, this is a team that struggled a little bit, even though they dominated the game score-wise. How are they going to do against Georgia, who has an even better defense, probably the best defense in the country? But I still, I don't know, man. I kind of think that goes over. I think that it's a game where Bama gets into the 30s, Georgia gets into the 20s. So I see something, in the mid 50s, high 50s total. So I would go with the over there.
Okay. So from two of the greatest college programs to one of the not so greatest, we got to talk about Rutgers getting in that bowl game, right? And we're talking with the right man here because Maddie knows everything Rutgers athletics. So what the hell happened there where, one team backed out of the bowl game there and then Rutgers was ready to go? I know you probably had some good inside info there about, how ready the team was. Can you just kind of talk to how that whole thing kind of played out?
Well, it's funny. They always talk about, academics and Division I sports and being a student athlete. And it always seems like lip service. But this is like that one time where it paid off because Rutgers had the highest APR score of all the 5 and 7 programs.
Oh, wow.
That got them first dibs for that game. You saw on Twitter, Illinois was like lobbying to get in the Gator Bowl. There were a couple other teams that they were talked about as possibilities, but people were saying, why not Florida State? Florida State's right in Florida.
Yeah.
They went 5 and 7 too. But Rutgers, because of the APR, was able to get that, right of first refusal. They had first dibs on the game. And you can't really turn it down. As much as it's not really the best situation to be in, you're getting exposure on the game leading into the college football playoff national semis.
Yeah.
You're getting some extra practices, big game exposure for your young players. And listen, I thought when they took it, I'm like, they're going to get killed. And the first drive of the game, Wake Forest goes right down. I'm like, oh, they're really going to get killed. Listen, they kept it for a first half, 2.5 quarters. It was a competitive game. They moved the ball. They threw an interception right before the half, which really killed them. Obviously, the talent on Wake and the experience wore down as the game went on. But listen, the final score is 38-10, which is about the best you could probably hope for. I think it worked out the best that they could have hoped for under the circumstances. Now, obviously, you want to get back to a bowl where you earned it record-wise on the field. You won 6 games or more. So that's the next step. But in terms of how it could have been, and it could have been an epic disaster, I think it worked out okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're right. Like, you got to a bowl game, not the way that you wanted to. But again, that's experience building forward towards the future. And, you're not going to make that a lot of times, right? With a rebuilding situation, you're not just going to make that drastic step. However, that's a nice little stepping stone to sort of get into some things. Now, I got to take things to a personal level. Your brother tried to ambush my fantasy football season and knock me out there in the Final Four, but had a monumental comeback win. Like, he was putting up the points on me. But how did had fantasy go for you this year?
I'm in my usual 3 leagues, and my goal every year is like I want to be in a championship in one of those 3 leagues. And last year was the first time in a while where that didn't happen. So I was like, all right, I need to bounce back this year. So I get to the playoffs in 2 of the 3 leagues, get to the title game in one, lost the title game to another Bayonne legend, Mike Long. So the Long family.
That's right. What's up, fellas?
And what happened was with that. My semifinal lineup was the funniest semifinal lineup I've ever used. I had Justin Jackson off waivers playing. I started Josh Johnson because I had Lamar out for 2 weeks. I mean, it was hilarious. So to get to the championship game with that lineup was great, and anything after that was kind of gravy. So, I took the loss, but third time I've been in the championship in those 4 seasons in that league, and it's just fun. Fantasy football is the best, and anytime you can win some money throughout the course of doing it, it makes it even better.
Yeah, I got that league that your brother was in. I got the title, so I paid for my Myrtle Beach trip. Like, boom, right there immediately. And
I tell my wife that 2-3 years ago I won a couple of titles, or I won one championship, lost in a title, another one, and that paid a lot from our engagement ring. So
yeah,
I tell her, hey, you can't complain. You can't complain.
The guy Kevin Epstein, who who's like the leader over here at the Sharp app, he says all the time, and he comes from the DFS world, so how much like grinding and research and all that kind of goes into it. But if you ever hit one of those big pots for like $100,000 or like something like that, make sure the first thing you do is buy the wife something nice, because then the good times will keep coming and everything. Exactly. Any bets that you got today?
I'm not really. This is a weekend where I kind of hate putting stuff down, because it's just you don't know what these teams are going to show up and do. I mean, looking at the NFL, I like the Saints to win. I like the Saints money line there. They have to win to have a chance at the playoffs, and I think they beat the Falcons. Looking at my own team, the Giants, they're in such disarray that I think Washington covers, even though Washington has lost 4 and they have 4 or 5 in a row. They have nothing to play for either.
Well, I love how, like, I have a bunch of people on the show who are Giants fans. I just love how week after week it's we'll take the Eagles this week. It's like with that hesitation, it's just always bet against the Giants. And I know a lot of you Giants fans like to lose, so you get a better draft pick.
Well, that's all we've had to play for the last 5 seasons. This is the best draft pick we can get. Now it's a matter of getting a new front office, new GM in there that can do more with the picks than they've done. So that's really my main concern going into Black Monday tomorrow and the off-season cycle.
Yeah, nice. So you're not in Bayonne anymore, right? You're out in the burbs?
I am down in Central Jersey, Hightstown, exit 8. So
right.
Really not that far from Bayonne and New York City and Hoboken area, and not that far from like Philly area, not that far from the shore. It's kind of an easy drive, or the same kind of drive, 45 minutes or so every way.
No doubt, no doubt. I was going to invite you out for some beer and wings today, but little bit of a hike you got there. All good. Maddie, I'm sorry, you want to say something?
No, I'll take a rain check on that though.
All right, I know you'll be back in Bayonne. Come on, baby.
Favorite hot spots in the Bay.
Maybe for the Bucs Super Bowl party.
Perhaps.
All right, we thank Matty for coming on. By the way, get him on Twitter at Matt Hladik 919. Matt is over there at the Spun, so make sure you go check out their content. Always got a lot of great stuff going on there. Matt, thanks for joining us. Good luck today.
Anytime, brother. Good luck.
All right, there he goes. Matty Hladik of the Spun.com. Great guy. Known that guy forever. Me and Matt are two of like the only journalists from Bayonne, New Jersey. So we have that common trait between the two of us. So that's always pretty cool. All right, let's get into the 4:00 slate as I promised, because this is where a lot of the meat and potatoes is going on today. So let's start it off. Let's go to San Francisco, Los Angeles, because I think that's probably got the most impact of any of these games here. So looking at as opposed to the Raiders Chargers going on tonight. So right now the Rams have the number 2 seed out there in the NFC. If they get a win today, they're gonna hold strong there. Listen, you want that win, right? Because you're tied at 12-4 with Tampa. They got the head-to-head tiebreaker over Tampa for the win that they got in week 3. Yeah, great stuff. It's always go Bucks around here, baby. But listen, the Rams want this game. They want that number 2 seed. Should the Packers, slide at any point, that means that they've got themselves home field advantage, right? So you want that. San Francisco, this one's easy, man. Win, you're in. Currently, they are the number 6 seed. However, New Orleans nipping on their heels very tightly here. I believe New Orleans gets the win and the San Francisco 49ers fall off. New Orleans will be the team that goes into the playoffs despite having the same record. So, big news in this one. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's got the thumb issue, right? Probably going to play. What does that do, right? What does that do to the psyche here for the San Francisco 49ers? Pro Football Doc looking at this one. Listen, the 49ers are going to run the football, right? We know what they're going to do against the Rams. Pretty sure, I think they've won like 5 or 6 straight, something like that. Kyle Shanahan, the whole thing with owning McVay. It's a tough one, man. I watch, when I go out and watch football, I watch with a lot of 49ers fans, and, let's just say the juju's good when I'm there. They want me there. The 49ers fans have basically adopted me this season. But this is, I don't think that this is going to be a good day for them today. I think that the Rams, I hate that narrative of Kyle Shanahan absolutely owning Sean McVay. Is that the case? Maybe, right? Like, the stats certainly don't lie. There's something to it. But I just think that Sean McVay is too good to have that continue, right? It's got to end at some point. So I do like the Rams today. My 49er fans will not be happy with me, but, listen, it's all about the Benjis, baby, right? Come on. Looking at the betting landscape on that one, I want to see where the money's at here, because this is certainly one of the more interesting games of the day. And, it's going the right way. So 60% of the bets right now on the 49ers, while we're seeing about 90% of the money going towards the Rams in this one. So sort of similar in the way that I was thinking there. But, ultimately, I think the Rams get the W at home today. I want to see where some of the coaches were on this, because, again, I hate to, go against the guys who you should be listening to, right? Yeah, I don't see anything on that one. Yeah, nothing. None of the coaches have had that one as a play. Maybe a couple of the guys will put something out there for the 4:00 slate, but as of right now, have not seen anything. Another one of the more interesting ones, as I mentioned, Saints at Falcons. We're seeing 60% of the bets right now on the Falcons at +4.5. While pretty much all of the money is going towards the Saints. I mean, listen, this is, week 18, right? Remember that stat that I threw out there earlier? Teams that are out of playoff contention hitting at a 63% rate against teams that need to keep their playoff hopes alive. I mean, that's all you need to know, right? And that's straight up. That's not even against the spread. So, these games certainly get wild for sure. We are going to see some wild football. This is the Super Bowl for the Atlanta Falcons, right? They're playing a division rival. They could potentially keep them out of the playoffs. I mean, and let's not twist it either, right? These Falcons Saints games, they've been pretty good. Earlier this season, the Falcons, they had a huge lead on the Saints. Then they blew it away late and then regained it again, right? So the Falcons got the eventual win in that game. And then, Saints too, man. Like, this has just been a very competitive series, and you get that when you get division rivals like that. Atlanta, New Orleans, it's not a long pony ride for the two cities, right? You can get yourself there pretty quick. So I think that we're going to see a pretty good football game. Listen, I see what's going on there with the money and everything, but I bet you that this winds up being a field goal. I bet you the Saints probably win by a field goal in this game. I'm probably going with the Falcons now that I see all this stuff. This is just an absolutely wild Sunday here. Another game that we got to look at. I see. This is interesting, right? So early at 1:00, we talked about it earlier in the show, but the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be at the Browns, and basically the Bengals, they rewarded themselves with a bye week, right? Like, it's like, oh, we won the AFC North. We're just not playing any of our starters next week, and kind of it could impact them, right? So, I'm looking at it at the schedule right now here, or I'm sorry, at the standings right now. Cincinnati would drop down to the number 4 seed, which right now would put them in a matchup with the New England Patriots. So I don't know, man. Zach Taylor, everybody's kind of questioning how good of a coach he is. Listen, he got the Bengals to the playoffs and went into the division his second season. So let's not hammer the guy too much, right? But I don't know if I agree with this move, where you kind of drop down to the 3, assuming that the Bills beat the Jets today and jump up to the number 3 spot, right? That would put Colts Bills in a matchup there, which would be a rematch from last season. But I can't in like honest judgment say, hey, Zach Taylor, that's a great move, man. Like, I like what you're doing. But listen, I think this is a young, cocky Bengals team right now that is pretty, they're feeling themselves, right? But listen, their strength is the pass. And if they want to do that going up against New England secondary, that's on you, man. That's on you. That's not something that I'm doing there. I am not excited to get into that sort of situation, but it is what it is, and that's kind of what they want to do. So this is a huge spread here, right? Bills -16. I had to bring it up. The Pro Football Doc again. He had it. Jets are not healthy at all, man. They got tons of injuries going into this game against Buffalo. Again, Buffalo, they clinched the division title with the victory, right? Because God forbid they slip up here. New England gets a win. New England would become the AFC champion, or I'm sorry, the AFC East champion. But, look at the Jets too, right? They played over their skis a little bit, last week against Tampa Bay. That was probably their Super Bowl. I don't see anything good going on with them today. So another good spot right there for the Bills, -16 favorites. That's okay, right? Like, it's the Jets. I don't think they're going to do anything wonderful here today. And I say this after they almost beat my Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. Thank God for the Zach Wilson quarterback sneak call, because I think if it weren't for that, you probably don't get a Tom Brady come from behind touchdown drive there. Other games here in the 4:00 window. Patriots Dolphins. This has been an interesting series. I think if you're looking at sort of, which game could go sideways today, this is probably the one right here, right? Like, this has been a really good series. We've seen teams struggle going down to Miami. Again, too, you've got a rookie quarterback going against a very, very good defense. Brian Flores, he's played pretty well against Bill Belichick, right? They won earlier this season. That was a 1-point win at Foxborough. I know the Patriots kicked their ass in recent memory, but, the Dolphins last year when Cam was the quarterback in New England, the Dolphins won the game there. So, I think that you're just giving the Dolphins too many points. A lot of people saw what happened to the Dolphins last week. They said, I told you so. I told you so. I told you that winning streak was going to end. They were only beating bad teams. And granted, they did. 7 of the 8 teams that they beat, or 6 of the 7 that they beat on that streak, were absolute trash. And the Ravens on a Thursday night, who just didn't show up. But again, the points here is what's important. I would love to get this up to 7 where it initially was, but I don't think that we're going to get that. I see a 5.5 on the board out there for the Patriots. So again, that probably means that the line is going to be going down, right? So we want to hop on this earlier than later on DraftKings, right? So one of the advantages of betting on DraftKings as opposed to, Caesars, for instance, right? If you really like the line on Caesars, I highly recommend you bet it there. However, on DraftKings, you're able to kind of move that line up to the even number of 7, is which I would do. I'm sure if you go to, 7.5, that, even better, right? But moving that number there to the even number, you give yourself a little backboard to kind of tie yourself. If, whatever, if that game does get to 7, all right, we've got some sort of a saving grace. Maybe we can get out of this with a tie. But keeping it there at 6.5, I feel like that's dangerous territory. You get the win by the touchdown, the extra point right there. Always heartbreaking stuff. So I think that, Dolphins +7 is kind of the move that I would go with today. Looking around the board, yeah, of course, we got my Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Carolina Panthers today. I would expect, a little bit of scoreboard watching from the Bucs today. They easily handled the Panthers by 26 2 weeks ago, right? So, this isn't a matchup where they should be worried at all. So what I think we're probably going to see is, okay, we're going to see BA and the boys play their guys. They're going to have to play next week. They're not getting a bye week in all likelihood. Well, they're not getting a bye week. That's established. But maybe they play the guys up into the first half, and then maybe they see, okay, the Rams are up, 20-7 or something like that on the 49ers. And then they start to loosen the reins a little bit, maybe go to a little bit of Blaine Gabbert, little Keyshawn Vaughn in the background for the Buck, or in the backfield for the Bucks. Maybe they do something like that. So this is an interesting number. And I think that's kind of why we've seen it move down, right? So the true opening line on this one was a 16, but it wasn't that high at the open. Bucks 9.5-point favorites. There is a 10 out there that you can grab too if you're in favor of the Panthers there at that key number. So don't forget about those lines there. But again, that's more of a fluid situation that we kind of have to see what's going to go on with the Rams, because listen, that'd be cool for the Bucks to kind of grab the number 2 spot, right? Like as it stands now, this is what's crazy, right? Is that, man, I did not even think about it. It's trouble on my own show, and I didn't even think about it. So here's the situation. If the 49ers lose today and the Saints get in, then the Saints would jump into the number 6 spot as it looks, right? Because the Eagles look like they're in that spot. Man, this is just crushing stuff. So if everything holds still, where it's Packers, Rams, Bucks is the 1, 2, 3, that means that it'll be Buccaneers Saints in the first round. As we have seen over the years, the Buccaneers want absolutely no piece of the Saints. So I do think that this is kind of important for the Buccaneers to kind of win this game, get some offensive rhythm going in this one. And boy, I just became much more of a 49ers fan today, knowing that that's the case. Okay, let's go 49ers. I absolutely want no part of that. If you were living under a rock, the Saints shut out the Buccaneers 9-0 not too long ago on a Sunday night here late in the season. So just absolute wild happenings here that can go down today. All right, I think there was another. Nope, that'll do it for the 4:00 slate. And then, of course, tonight, man, Chargers at the Raiders. This one opened at 2.5 in favor of the Chargers. And so far, we're seeing a lot of threes out there. That's pretty much all that you're getting on the board. 60% of the bets towards the Chargers, about 85% of the money going towards the Chargers in this one as well. And I think I have to agree, right? Like, Justin Herbert against Derek Carr, like I can't, man. I can't, and we look at the weapons here too. Is Darren Waller going to play? I'm sure he's going to try to gut it out tonight, right? Like, Waller, where are you today? What's going on? That's on the Sunday slate. Got to see if Darren Waller's in today. I think that would certainly make a difference, because as we all know, tight ends absolutely destroy the Los Angeles Chargers. I got to bring up this number. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here we go. 49 minutes ago, Raiders tight end Darren Waller is expected to play per source, and that source for me is Diana Rossini there of ESPN. So that's huge news, right? We got to take a look at this number here, because tight ends against the Chargers have been absolute money in the bank. If you want to follow along, you can do so. Go to statmuse.com. You can check this out. So Darren Waller, you can type this in. Statmuse is basically like a Google for, just stats related inquiries that you got out there. So what I'm going to do is what we got to do is tight ends game log, most yards versus Chargers this season. Okay, this is big. We're gonna see some huge totals this season. So already right off the bat, look at that. Boom. Travis Kelce back on December 16th, 191 yards. That's on 10 catches, 13 targets. David Njoku, 149 yards. He caught all 7 targets and a touchdown. Travis Kelce again against the Chargers, 7 catches for 104 yards. No touchdowns in that one. Noah Fant, 92 yards. Mark Andrews, 68 yards. Kyle Rudolph, 66 yards, right? You see all these tight ends that are just going crazy on these guys. So this is an opportunity. I think, let's take a look right now, right? We got to take a look at the prop bets on Darren Waller tonight, because, listen, number one, I think you might get sort of like an inflated market on Waller, because It's his first game back. It's a game where obviously, you win and you're in. Also, I don't know if you guys saw that absolutely ridiculous. What was it? The stipulation. So if the Colts by some godforsaken chance lose today against the Jaguars, that means that the Raiders and the Chargers would both have to tie in order to make the playoffs, right? Which is insane, right? Like, would you take a knee on every single play just so that you can make the playoffs? I know one of the guys from the Raiders came out and said, like, absolutely not. Like, that is not what would happen. But again, the Jaguars need to get an outright win against the Colts. And I don't know if it's probably not going to happen, to be quite honest with you. All right, let's take a look at some of the prop bets today. Let's see what we got on Darren Waller, because this could be important. Do we not have any Darren Waller prop bets, DraftKings? They are just an absolute disappointment in that regard. Let's pop it over to Caesars real quick. Let's see if we can get any Darren Waller prop bet. They had literally everybody but Waller, which is like awful. Let's see here. Come on, baby. And I don't love the layout here of Caesar's prop bets either. Not my favorite. Yeah, nobody's got them up yet. Maybe just because the information just came in under, slightly under an hour ago. But again, if you're looking to do some extra things, right? We're up against the wall now of the NFL regular season. So, you're not going to have as many betting opportunities and stuff like that. So I would certainly take a look at this Waller one and try to make an educated guess on it. Once we say, now that I'm looking at it too, I see, so Caesars doesn't even have any of the Raiders numbers up there. And then looking at DraftKings, they have both the guys from both teams up there, but no numbers for Mr. Waller, which we're looking for. So, definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to sign off here a couple minutes early, and just wish you guys the best of luck here in week 18 of the NFL season. Take care. Peace.